Okay. So it seems pretty standard. Obedience stuff, recall, and then stopping when he sees dogs. I guess like he likes to like lay down or something. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we got him in May of last year, so it's been almost a year, and I like taught him basic commands. He can sit, he can lay down, he can stay for the most part. Like he'll come probably like 90% of the time. He's fairly good on the walk, and that's so a woman who lives next to us who has a golden doodle has used you before and recommended you because Lincoln, he, if we're on a walk, he, when he sees a dog, he'll like put his feet down, and sometimes he'll lay down, and he'll do this thing where he like stops and stares, and it's just like, okay, like come on, like what are you doing? And I think he's like waiting for the other dog to come to him, and I don't know if it's like a doodle thing, because I see a lot of other doodles do it when he's like, when he sees like another labradoodle or, you know, another cockapoo, whatever it is. And so I'm trying to get rid of that. I would love for him to not notice as many distractions on the walk. The walk is like the biggest reason I wanted to contact you. You know, he sees a car go by, he sees a person go by, he's pretty, I wouldn't say like afraid of, but he definitely backs up a bit when there's like a scooter or a skateboard or something that like
stroller.
Yeah, something he doesn't think should be moving, if that makes sense. So things like that. He jumps up on people, not in like a malicious way, like he wants to say hey. And it's definitely reinforced by, we live in a building where the average age is probably like 75. And these like old ladies, they think it's so cute. And so like they definitely encourage it. Well, now Lincoln has internalized like, oh, like if I jump up on people, I will like, you know, receive like praise or whatever. So just like things like that is really like the biggest reason that I, you know, I'm reaching out. He, you know, he's not aggressive. He does bark. Yeah, when people come into our apartment, he definitely does bark, which we've talked about it. It really bothers me because Jonathan did not grow up with dogs. I grew up with dachshunds and blue heelers, and my dad trained them, and it was very much like they don't bark when someone knocks. And I get, you know, like if it's an intruder, it's nice to bark, but we live in a high rise. The chances of like an intruder would be very small, where they'd have to get through like several areas to get to us. So again, but he's not, you know, he doesn't bite people. He doesn't bite other dogs. He's not like growling at other dogs. Like it's truly just like the walk, and that's it.
Okay.
It's like my big things.
Okay. Is there anything else that you'd want, like if you could have what you wanted aside from like the walking and stuff?
I would love for him to be off leash. We've done like off leash dog parks. So we went to a big one up in Minneapolis that was kind of like a trail, and we've done one in, is it Lincolnwood? Where's that one? Libertyville, maybe. Lincolnwood. There's one like somewhere on the north side that's like a wooded area, and he'll follow along and he'll run like a pretty far distance, and then he'll come back and check in on us, and then he'll run away again and come back. And so in those areas, I'm not afraid. But we live like at North and Clark, so right next to Lincoln Park, and I would love to be in the park with him off leash. I never see myself as a person that like walks down the street with him off leash. Like that still scares me. Like he could easily just like fall into traffic, right? Like for whatever reason. But I would love to be able to like be out in the park,
yeah,
you know, him off leash. And for the most part, if it's Jonathan and I, he'll run between us, and he gets a lot of joy from that. But rarely are we together walking Lincoln.
I do go running, and I, you know, as he gets older, it would be nice for him to be able to run along, right, and sort of stay next to me. But
he gets distracted. Like
right now,
it's
yeah,
you know,
he gets too distracted.
A dog, a person, and he's so friendly, and like he's really cute. And so people are like, oh my gosh, your dog. Like, you know, I'm sure you've seen it a million times.
Yeah. Anything else?
I don't think so. I mean, beyond that, like, you know, if he did like fun tricks, like you know, like play dead or something. But like, I don't care about things like that. Like, I truly like the walk, being a good experience, running and like off leash and jumping on people are like the things.
Okay. And that's pretty standard.
For sure. And again, he's only one. Like, he just turned 1 on March 10th. Like, he's a puppy, and I get it. But if I'm thinking about, you know, doodles have this like life expectancy of like 12 to 15 years, I don't want to live the next 11 to 14 years of my life with him jumping on people or like putting his feet down every time he sees a dog and like seeing what they do first. Like, I just want to enjoy my time. So that's, you know, and you come so highly recommended. So thank you so much for getting us in.
No worries. Do you know the name of the dog? You said, because you said it was another golden doodle.
Yeah. So there's 2. There's one in the building next to me, and then there's one in my same complex. One's name is Mocha, and then it's a golden doodle that is like pure dark brown. Mocha is slightly older than Lincoln, and Lincoln is 26 pounds. Mocha's probably about 35 to 40, and they play a lot because where we live, it's kind of like a little courtyard, and you know, there's a million doodle mixes in this little area.
I know the name Mocha, and it's a recent dog that I worked with.
It is a recent one, yes. And because she loved you, and she talked about like basically Mocha like sat down the minute that you said to sit down, and Mocha is much more rambunctious than Lincoln. Lincoln is much more calm than Mocha. And then the other dog, I never really talked to it. I think its name is Murphy, but it is always off leash and like will run in our whole courtyard, which is a good, like probably the size of a football field actually. And will run and go through the planters and stuff and then come back. Always come back. And I have never seen that dog on a leash, which again, I would never do that. Like that still kind of worries me a little bit. But it is very well behaved. And Mocha's family, I'm pretty sure its name is Murphy. I think it is, but I also have another friend whose dog's for sure his name is Murphy, so it may not be Murphy. They got your information. Mocha got your information from Murphy, maybe not Murphy's mother. Like,
gotcha. Yeah, I've trained so many golden doodles and
doodles. Oh, I'm sure.
Doodles, Bernedoodles, golden doodles, Shiba doodles. Like there's all Aussie doodles.
They're all the same things.
So, okay. So yeah, your case is pretty standard, nothing out the ordinary. Pretty straightforward stuff. The 2 most important things every dog should know are heel and recall.
Okay.
Everything else is if you're going to use it.
And recall is like come.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So heel is what's going to fix the stopping when he sees dogs.
Okay.
You know, making the walk pleasant. So that, you know, he's walking with you and there's not all these interruptions, or even like the running part, being able to go for a run and not being jerked back because he decided to like stop and check out something, right? And then the recall or the come would of course allow you to take Lincoln off leash and not have to worry about, is my dog going to take off on me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming, you know, through Mocha and Murphy that, you know, I use e-collar, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with what an e-collar is, like the technology?
So prior to talking to Mocha's mom, no. Since she recommended you, yes. But I haven't talked to Tony and Jonathan. I really made the decision on my own. I was like, we are contacting this person. So if you could explain it, that would be great.
Yeah. So have you guys ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor?
Chiropractor, yes.
Have you ever had the nodes or the stem therapy where they put the
I have not.
muscles?
Yeah.
Have you? Okay. Yeah. That's an e-collar. Okay.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a connection there.
Yeah. So they use the technology on humans. But when people refer to e-collar, it's more commonly known as a shock collar. So it gives the impression of you're electrocuting your dog, but you're not. Okay. So it's electric, but not electricity is how I describe it. Okay. So there's 2 probes that make contact with the neck. And right there, you would see the muscle twitch whenever you were to press the button. Okay. So it just causes a muscle contraction. There's nothing happening anywhere else within the body. Okay. So like if you go to a Walgreens and you go in the back section and you look at the pain management, you'll see what's called a TENS unit, TENS unit.
Yep.
And it looks like a bone, and you put it on your back,
Yep.
and it makes your muscles move. It's the same thing.
Okay.
But it's the impression that people have of it that makes it seem like it's a bad thing. Okay. So when it comes to e-collar training, the reason why I use this tool, and all my dogs over 6 months are trained on e-collar. Okay. I don't bother with food, and I don't bother with like prong collar or anything after 6 months, because at that point, puppies kind of tune into the world, and they're like, oh, look at all this other stuff that's available.
Yes.
Right. So then food goes out the window, because, you know, if chasing the squirrel is more rewarding than what's in your hand, it just makes sense that they would want to do that instead.
Yeah.
Right. And with prong collar and or gentle leader, which are great tools because they give you much more control. If you remove your leash off your dog, now you're stuck without any kind of control.
Right.
Because there's no means of reinforcement. E-collar gives you both on and off leash control right away. Okay. So, and it's also the most consistent tool. I have a very high standard in terms of training. And it's a high standard that's easily achieved as long as the owner does their homework. Okay. So it's consistent. Again, if the owners do their homework, I know where I can get. Okay, in terms of what I can get in terms of control and stuff. So the biggest variable is always just the owner.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if they feel bad about using it or whatever, obviously that's going to affect the training. Or if they're not practicing, that's also going to affect the training. But otherwise, it's effective, it's efficient, and it's very easy for you to learn. It's very just logic based. It doesn't require you to become a dog trainer in order to like understand how it works and to be able to achieve the results that you're wanting. Okay.
Right.
And because of COVID, so I used to do home to home where I traveled to all my clients. And then COVID happened, and then nobody wanted people coming over.
Yeah.
So then I was like, all right, well, my whole business is based around going to people's homes and like training, because I used to train the dog in front of you. Yeah. And then I would give you the dog and then coach you through it.
Okay.
So then now everything is hands-free of me. Okay. It's you with Lincoln, and I coach you and I teach you. You're doing everything yourself. Okay. So you're learning everything from ground zero. So nothing is tied to me, because that's usually a common issue that people have is like, oh, when my dog trainer comes over, my dog listens. Right. But then when my dog trainer leaves, my dog doesn't listen. Yeah. And it's because as a dog trainer, we obviously have a much better skill set than the average dog owner would. So we don't have to worry about that anymore, because I'm not even touching the dog. It's you guys doing all the training. Okay. So what I help you do is I help you figure out what's going to work for Lincoln. How to use the collar appropriate to Lincoln and appropriate to the environment. I give you your homework, and then you go off and you practice. Okay. And when we do the training, you're applying the training as you go about your life with Lincoln. Okay. So every time you go on a walk to the courtyard or to the park to let him play with his friends, you're utilizing your training. Okay. So that's what's making it functional, because obedience is meant to be functional no matter where you are. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're walking outside, if you're at the park, if you go to PetSmart, if you go to the dog park, obedience is meant to be functional no matter, where you are. Right. Okay? So once you learn the concept and we get it down and Lincoln has the concept, I go, this is what you're going to do. And you're going to practice every time you walk Lincoln. And then when you want them to be free, you're going to tell them our word is break. Break means you're off the clock and you can play and stuff. And then when you're ready to go, you just start walking with Lincoln again. Okay. So that's what makes the obedience work in an actual kind of environmental setting where like, oh, the dogs are playing off leash and I call my dog and I make them return. They can return. Yeah. Because that's where you're practicing. Okay. So in terms of what you're looking for and like length of time and stuff, you're right in the middle, like right class mark is where I would put you. Okay.
You broke up the mark.
Six class.
Okay.
Because I have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week classes. Okay. The 6 class course is walk my dog, go to the park. Okay. So heel and then recall or come when called. Heel is typically 2 classes. It's the first thing that we teach because leash pulling is one of the most common things that people want to fix. I also deal with a lot of leash reactive dogs. So heel is part of addressing leash reactivity.
Okay.
Issues like you're seeing where like Lincoln sees another doodle and like decides to stop moving or whatever, it also fixes. So it's the one of the most important commands, but
Okay.
also it helps resolve a lot of issues that people want to actually fix. Okay. So the reason why we start with heel is because super common that people want to address that. But then two, if you put an e-collar on a dog and they don't know what it is, and you press the button and they can feel it, their first instinct is typically to run away.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Because they don't know what it is. They're like, this is uncomfortable, so I'm just going to run. So it makes them want to move. So we use a moving behavior to teach them how it turns on and how it turns off. Okay. But also, it's you walk your dog multiple times a day, right? So not only are you teaching Lincoln how it turns on, how it turns off, you're also learning how it turns on and how it turns off.
Right.
And you're practicing up to 3 times a day, if not more.
Okay.
So it's teaching him how to walk on the leash also allows you to expose him multiple times to the collar, because e-collar is a stressor because it's some level of discomfort. Okay. And your dog doesn't know what it is. So the more you expose them to it is how we get them over it. Okay. Typically, when people see their dog under stress, they tend to lay off.
Right.
And then what happens is the dog never learns how to overcome it. Okay. And then they get stuck in this kind of limbo because you're exposing them to it, but then you're not working them all the way through it. Okay. So also leash walking helps alleviate stress. So any stress that is built up from the healing exercise is being released through the walk. Okay. So that's why the heel is so important. Any trainer that knows what they're doing and is a good trainer will almost always start with leash walking. Okay. So first class is heel. Come back a week later. How is it going? Jesse, it's night and day, or you were still struggling with this, right? We make some adjustments. We work on the second half of heel. And then I give you your homework. You go and practice. Okay.
Okay.
You come back week 3. I would not expect you to have any real issues going into week 3, other than he might test the boundaries a bit, which just comes down to more practice and adjusting the collar, which I would help you with. Okay. So if all that's going smoothly, by class 3, we're going into recall.
Okay.
Okay. So heel is the fastest thing that people tend to teach because you walk your dog multiple times a day. Come when called or recall tends to take the longest because it requires you to go somewhere. Okay. So like if you always practice in the courtyard, he'll be great in the courtyard. But then if you decide to go to Oz Park, he's not going to be as good because you've not exposed him to that kind of environment before. Right. So then to make your recall as foolproof as possible, it requires you to go to different places, practice in different environments, different weather conditions. Is he playing with dogs? Is he not playing with dogs? Is there squirrels? Is there rabbits? Is there a bunch of people? Right? All those things factor in terms of the reliability of the command. But all it means is you just have to go and practice.
Right.
Okay. And then recall is also 2 classes. So we have 2 classes on heel, 2 classes on recall, which leaves classes 5 and 6. Okay. 5 and 6 can be used to address like the jumping on people. Okay. We can also use it to, if everything's going great and the jumping on people is easy to, like, you just pick up on it. We can also do stationary control, which is go here and don't move for the next hour to 2. So if you want to go to a restaurant and bring them along with you and not have to have Lincoln all over the place, he'll sit still for a period of time. But it all depends on how you progress. Okay. So if you're doing your homework, it's pretty straightforward. It's not cookie cutter, but kind of cookie cutter, you know, because I know how long it takes to teach something. It's just a matter of, are you doing your homework?
Right.
So if all that's going great, then we just keep teaching stuff. If for whatever reason you're still struggling with something, we can use classes 5 and 6 to also address those things. Okay. Questions so far?
How many hours do you recommend of practice, per week?
It's just as you live your life.
Okay.
You know, so like let's say you take Lincoln on 3 30-minute walks. Great. There you go.
Okay. Oh, okay. So like that's enough.
Yeah. No, he
Okay.
like if you want to do more, do more. But
right.
So in terms of activity, for an adult dog, about an hour walk a day.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the average. So if you're doing like 3 20-minute walks or 3 30-minute walks, like that should be sufficient. But also as you gain more control over Lincoln, you'll be able to do stuff with him, like, you know, letting him off leash and not worried about is he going to take off on me, where he's going to run around and expel more energy.
Right.
Okay. So it's when people do remote collar, they usually have their ceiling down here because most training methods don't work as well. Right. But with remote collar, man, we can go far as we want. You know, it's meant for off leash control. Okay. You know, so the only command that has to be off leash reliable is the come when called.
Right.
Otherwise, it's pointless. Every other command is personal preference. So, like, I have clients that want the whole 9 yards with their dogs. They want the sit, the stay, the down, the come, the place, and the heel, all off leash reliable. So that's just a longer program. Okay. A lot of people are where you're at, where like I just want to walk my dog and let them go off leash and know that I can get them back. Okay. But we can obviously do more as well because of the training tool.
Yeah, so I think that was probably my question is I think I would rather opt into like the 9 or the 12 and like just pay for that, because I didn't think about it, but when you mentioned it, like we live like I'd say a very social life. And so like when things fully return back to normal, like I would love to take Lincoln to breweries or to like brunch with us, you know. And so when you said that at the end, I was like, oh yeah, like that's something.
We just talked about that last week.
Yeah.
We were out to dinner and in an outdoor patio, and there was a dog there, so still, like.
Well, I think it gets fed from the table because it kept looking at the table, and we don't feed Lincoln from the table or like human food at all. But like, I would love for Lincoln to like come and just like lay it, because like right now, I don't know where he went, but he was like laying under us. Like when we eat dinner at night, like at our table, he'll lay under us. If we were like at a restaurant,
he'll be bouncing around. Yeah.
And again, I think it's because he responds to people and he is very cute. And people are like, you know, especially like 22-year-old girls are like, oh my God, your dog. And then he gets excited and he's like, everyone loves me. So like, I think I would probably rather opt into the 9 or the 12 and then just like, we are good to go.
Yeah. And this is training for life.
Exactly. Like I would actually rather opt into the 12 and just like, let's do it over the summer. And he knows everything he needs to know, because like I would also like to have a second dog at some point. Okay. And, you know, in like 3 to 4 years when Lincoln's a little bit older. And so like, if I think back to my own experience with my blue heelers growing up, like the older one kind of like taught the younger one in a way. And so I would love for like Lincoln to be an example to whatever, you know, dog we get in the future. So, but again, so far, like I'm loving like what you're saying, and I would say Lincoln probably walks for like an hour and a half to 2 hours a day between the two of us.
Yeah.
So there's definitely time for practice. So I'm glad that you said that. So I think that's all my questions / hopes for now.
Okay. So just so you're aware of what each program achieves, right?
Okay.
So 6 is walk my dog, go to the park. 9 is walk my dog, go to the park, go to restaurants.
Okay.
And 12 is walk my dog, go to the park, go to restaurants. We go hiking, we go to the dog beach, we go to a friend's house. Like we do everything with our dog.
Okay. So yeah, 12.
Yeah. So the way we would structure that is for a 12-week program is we teach the commands first: sit, stay, down, come, place, and heel. So 6 commands on the short leash. Okay. And then the second half of the program, we progress towards, we're on a long leash to progress towards off leash. Okay. So we teach everything first, and then we start shaping it towards off leash reliability. Okay. What I've been doing now is around class 9 to 10, you'll have all the knowledge to get Lincoln to off leash. But then it's a matter of practicing, screwing up, crazy crap happening while you're practicing, like, you know, Lincoln running away because somebody scared him with the firework, you know. And then what I suggest is that people space out the last 2 to 3 classes, and I might not see them for like 3 to 4 weeks to give them ample time to practice. Okay, because if we and you can go week by week, like I don't care. You can do all 12 in succession, or you can do 9 to 10. We get everything down, and then you go and practice, and you come back when we need to like fix things. Okay, is like this past week I had a young lady on Monday. We're transitioning her dog to the off leash stuff, and because the previous week was raining, she's like, I only got to work with my dog once this week, right? So then there wasn't enough time for her to practice because you're not dog trainers. You're gonna make mistakes. Lincoln might do something where he's not gonna respond correctly, and it's gonna be confusing. Is having, you know, a few weeks to practice in between the last classes allows you to expose yourselves to like those potentials. Okay. Now, if you decide to do that, just as a heads up, and I would remind you in the program as well, is my schedule is crazy busy right now. Okay.
I gathered that from Maria.
Yeah. So, but there's a couple of options which we'll talk about in terms of training and stuff. But what I've been telling my clients is like, hey, if you're going to space out these classes, book them sooner rather than later. So that they don't wait a month and then they come to book and it's all crap. It's another month wait or a 2-week wait or whatever.
Right.
They're kind of ahead of it a bit, which at the end of the day, like if there's like, I have 3 clients that have gone on the road trips for like 2 to 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So they're like, is this going to interrupt the training? I go, no, it's fine. I'm like, we're going to make sure we cover the recall. So you get plenty of time to practice the recall on your road trip and then all the other stuff, right? And it's just going to take 2 to 3 months to do the road trip and also practice all the stuff. So when they come back, they're going to come back with 2 to 3 months of like, this is where we need help. This is where the dog struggled.
Right.
The dog is great with this, you know, because it's all about time and practice.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think my question for you there is, like, I also don't want to waste time. Like Lincoln sits very well. He, like 98% of the time will sit. He knows how to lay down. He will stay if he knows there's a toy involved because he's like, oh, I'm going to stay for the toy.
Mm-hmm.
He can, you know, bring the toy back. He'll let the toy go. He doesn't hold things in his mouth. Like he'll pick up tissue on a walk, and if I say let go, he'll drop it and he'll keep walking. So he's very good about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is like, is there a way to buy a 12-week package, but like kind of condense a few things? Because I'll, you know, I don't want to like waste like your time or our time.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also like Lincoln minds me more than he does Jonathan because I am a teacher. And so when the pandemic hit, it went from like, I was gone all day, right? To like, now we can get a dog and all these things. And so like Lincoln grew very attached to me and will mind me 99.99% of the time. Jonathan, he kind of depends on like whatever mood he's in. But again, you know, I don't want to spend 2 weeks on the sit and the lay down if he already knows that. So like, is there a way to buy a 12-week and spend more time with like recall and restaurants, or I don't know, what do you recommend?
So even if a dog knows sitting down, you have to reteach it.
Okay.
Because he doesn't know sitting down with e-collar.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. And he doesn't sit for my friends. He will not sit for he will sit sometimes for my friends, but not all the time.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because I get a lot of dogs that have been previously trained by other trainers, even with remote collar. And I have to reteach everything because it was either taught incorrectly or, so like if let's say Lincoln downs, right? And I say down and he'll lay down. And then he gets up and we use the collar to correct him. And we've not taught him how to lay down with the collar. It'll make him pop up. Okay. So we have to reteach it so that when he feels the collar, he goes, oh, that means to lay back down again.
Okay. But did my question make sense? I wasn't trying to be like.
No. So like you've paid for my time. Okay. I show up and like I have a structure of how we would go about it. But like if we're supposed to work on sit and you're like, hey, Jesse, I really want to work on a recall again because of this and this. And I go, okay, we work on recall again.
Okay, perfect.
So, but what I suggest is just towards the end is you space out your last classes. So by the time you hit your 12th class, you're good to go.
Okay.
Okay, because it's when you get to when we talk about off leash, we're talking about fully off leash.
Right.
Okay, that he's walking at your side off leash, and it can be weird for people, to be walking with their dog, and they're off leash at their hip, and there's no leash tethered to them.
I think I will probably freak out.
Yeah, so that takes time because it's not about Lincoln; it's about you.
Right.
It's about getting you comfortable and confident in Lincoln's really well trained. He's not going to leave my side. Okay. So, and that of course takes time and exposure because you have to see the successes and you have to see Lincoln recall every time you call him, either from play or from chase or from whatever. And he comes back to you, we're like, okay, yeah, like my dog, he's got it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Other questions?
I don't think so. This sounds great so far.
How much does Lincoln weigh?
26 pounds.
26?
Yeah, 25, 27,
okay.
26.
So the collar he would need is meant for 35 pounds and under.
Okay.
It's the Doctra 280C, which Maria will send you the information.
Okay.
Now, just so that you're aware, okay, because I always like to just think ahead, is if like a second dog is in the future, would it be like a similar size? Would it be a bigger dog, or is it like we get what we get?
I would probably want to get like another Cockapoo or another doodle for sure. Both of us do not really like dog hair.
Okay.
More like mild mannered dogs. Same like mini Bernie doodle, something. I'm not looking for like 100-pound dog. That's not the world I'm in.
Sure, and I know that's a few years off.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that for that particular system that I recommend for Lincoln is they make a 2-dog version. Okay. But if you get a 1-dog version, you cannot upgrade it to a 2-dog version.
Okay.
Buy a whole separate 1-dog version. Okay.
And when you say like 2-dog, like the same clicker, like the same app works.
It's 1 remote to 2 collars.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
And you can also pair a second remote, so you have 2 remotes, 2 collars, so you both have control over the dogs.
Okay.
Yeah. The other option would be it's a higher powered collar, which is fine. It's perfectly safe to use, and it's meant for 70 pounds and under.
Okay.
But that one is expandable, so you can buy one, and then down the line, if you got another dog, you would just buy a second collar and you can pair it to the system. Okay. So you don't have to commit to a 2-dog system right off the bat. The only thing about that particular model is the box is bigger than the smaller version, than the 35-pound and under collar.
Okay. I think my worry, Jesse, is like keeping up with a second collar for like 3 more years. Ultimately, I feel like I will lose that somewhere.
Sure. Yeah, so
I see what you're saying. So maybe, I guess I'll look for the information from Maria and see what she says.
Yeah, and it's all personal preference, but that's just, otherwise, you're spending another, 250-ish bucks.
Right. Yeah. I totally see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, cool. Because it's not like you'll hold the second collar for me and I'll pick it up in a few years, right? Like that's not an option.
Yeah, we probably put your name on it. I'll just keep it here in my office.
That would be great because when we move in a few years, I don't know what'll happen to it. But again, I see what you're saying. So we'll see,
Yeah, for sure. And then I'll take a look to see if there's any other model that might be expandable that would be still appropriate to Lincoln size.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So one of the most common questions I get is like, when does the e-collar go away?
When is what?
When does the e-collar go away?
Oh, go away. Okay.
In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. Okay. So the easiest way to explain this would be, do you guys drive?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you go on the expressway?
Yes.
Do you go the speed limit?
No.
Okay. Most people don't.
Yeah.
Right. But then you see a squad car, what happens?
I slow down.
Right. Because now there's threat of consequence.
Right.
You can get a ticket, whatever. And it's called opportunistic behavior. All animals do it. Okay. It's actually a part of survival instinct. So like if there's a pond of water and there's an alligator in it and the animals around are aware, they don't drink water. They see the alligator crawl out the water, whatever, everybody comes in and drinks.
Right.
Alligator comes back, everybody leaves. Right? So it's the same thing for your dog. He's going to become savvy to the collar, and he's going to be more well behaved with the collar on. And then when it's off, he might not be as obedient. Okay. So I like to call it or refer to it as a cop on a collar. Okay. When it's present, he's going to behave better. When it's not present, he's going to push the boundaries. Okay. It has nothing to do with my methods. It has nothing to do with the training concepts or your skills as a trainer or whatever. It's simply just opportunistic behavior.
Right. Of course.
And regardless of whatever method you use to train your dog, whether it's positive reinforcement or positive punishment, if you remove the motivator, performance always dips.
Okay? Right.
So like when trainers are talking, because trainers talk crap to each other because of methodologies.
Right.
A trainer would be like, oh, but you always have to use food. And then the other trainer would be like, well, you always have to use an e-collar. And I go, regardless of what you're using, if you remove the motivator, whether positive or negative, performance is always going to dip.
For sure. Right?
So, but the difference is with the remote collar, if the dog opted not to comply, I can make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay. E-collar is the only tool in my opinion that can get you as close to 100% reliability as possible. Because even if Lincoln, like I've had clients, their dogs took off on them because of fireworks. It's the most common thing that happens.
I'm sure.
They're at the park, their dogs are playing, and then some random kid decides to set off a firework. Okay. And they have to max out the collar in order to override the flight response to make the dog return. So even in an emergency type situation, you can get control or regain control.
Right. Okay.
Of Lincoln. Okay. And I always go over this stuff with people because it's funny because I don't think trainers account for that. But I've had there's been coyotes in Lincoln Park and I've had clients who heard their dogs have been confronted by coyotes, the fireworks, dogs taking off after rabbits at the park just because of prey drive, something spooking them running towards the street. Like these are all situations that can be potentially very dangerous. And remote collar, like you don't know when that's going to happen to you. Right. So I like knowing that if I'm outside with my dog and everything's turned on and we're good, I have control even if things go south.
Okay, love that.
Okay. Anything else?
Like, is it just like a keychain type thing that we'll just always carry? That.
1 second.
Okay.
So this is the big boy collar. So this isn't the one.
Okay.
But there's a remote and then the collar.
Oh, that's like a walkie-talkie.
Yeah, it's this one's small. It's within it's kind of like no bigger than a cell phone. Like it's like maybe that thick or so. But it fits comfortably in your hand. The one that Lincoln would have is even smaller than that.
But with the antenna, is it like big?
This one is, but this isn't the one that Lincoln would use.
Okay.
This is a 1 mile range, which is why it has that long antenna.
Oh, okay.
The one that he's gonna have is a 1/2 mile range.
Okay.
It's like half the size of that one.
Okay.
So it's smaller. They do make one. I've not used it myself. I'm a traditionalist. I don't like changing things, where it's like a ring around your thumb and you can press the button and it syncs to the collar. I have not used that myself. I've had clients purchase it on their own, and when they train with me, they use the remote, but when they do their own thing, they use the tool.
Okay.
I'd have to look into it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty confident that the model that I'm recommending for you comes with that kind of ability to kind of sync to that.
Okay.
But I'd have to look into it.
Yeah, that would be great because I would love. I mean, anything as small as possible,
Yeah, and it's good for like running and stuff, so that you're not having to worry about having all this stuff in your hands and everything. But the one that he would need, it's a smaller box. Like the box is literally, maybe 2 inches and then maybe like an inch wide or so.
Okay.
So because it's meant for smaller dogs, it's lower output. Other questions?
Not right now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think here. So in terms of like availability and getting started and stuff, it really depends on your availability. My evenings and weekends are pretty booked just because that's where most people, how do you say, they're off. Most people are kind of like 9 to 5 and stuff. And then right now with the spring going into summer, like things are like crazy busy, and that's why I have Enrique taking on his own clients now, so that it kind of keeps me open to take on others.
Mm-hmm.
So if for whatever reason our schedules aren't lining up and you want to start sooner rather than later, Enrique is more than capable of handling a case like this because it's just obedient stuff.
Okay.
Because he's just starting to take clients on, so he's more open than I am.
Okay.
If you're looking to work with me, it just depends on your availability. I don't know what it looks like for me. Maria handles all that stuff. She knows my schedule better than I do.
Okay.
Just because mine changes I could wake up and like I've had like 9 clients in a day, and then something happens and 3 people cancel.
Right.
So
for sure.
So it can be anywhere between a couple of weeks to a month in terms of waiting.
Okay.
So then it's really just your personal preference. If you insist on starting with me, might be a little bit of a wait. If you're more open and you're like, yeah, we'll take Enrique, he's more than capable of working with a case like Lincoln here. Okay. Other questions?
So I think we're in like a little bit of a tricky situation in that Jonathan is in a graduate program where he is in school every other weekend, like Friday through Sunday in Evanston. What are your thoughts on like Jonathan not always being present for training? Are you like very anti, like everyone should be there?
It's okay.
Okay.
Because so e-collar training transfers very easily.
Okay.
So like, and also we have the videos that you can refer to. So if you can't make it to one, he just goes back and pulls up Lincoln's video and get caught up on it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that's not a problem at all. I think in my form, because it's an old form, I made that form like 3 or 4 years ago. And at that time I was adamant about people both, with couples being there and stuff. But then it got so hectic because one person couldn't make it, and then I was like, I'm like, yeah, that's not a good idea anymore.
Okay.
But also just with how I've advanced my methodology, it's not a problem.
Okay. So then I think we'll talk and see if we'd rather wait on you, and I can check it with Maria and see what your schedule is, and then if not, we can. If you trust him and people who I know trust you, then I assume A equals C, so I would trust Enrique as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll kind of go from there because I would like to get Lincoln as great as possible as we look ahead to traveling again, and Lincoln goes with me everywhere, like on every plane ride, and so.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. So I'll get in contact with Maria and I'll update her. And what I suggest is if you're good to go, is you can just turn around and email her and say, hey, Maria, sign us up for the 12 classes, send us the forms. And as soon as she goes by the form, so because a lot of people go back and forth with her, but the form is like, okay, I've signed the form, send me my invoice, we want to get started.
Yeah.
So you can shoot her an email, and then what she does is she gets back to me, because then I send her what you'll need for the collars and stuff.
Okay, perfect.
Then she gives you the information for that, and then she'll handle all the other stuff.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then we'll speak to each other, and then I'll check with Muddy, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. Stay safe this weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.